It has finally happened. Jack Hanma vs Yujiro Hanma officially begins. There is no turning back now. The Ogre's Rage arrived, alongside him throwing the first attack. Once again, the similarities between the introduction of Baki vs Yujiro is very strong, alongside more reveals about Yujiro's wants in regards to this fight, and Jack low-key getting a dub. At the end of the previous chapter, Yujiro Hanma said this: "I'm gonna make you cry." And technically in Baki Raihan chapter 20 here, Yujiro Hanma is the first one to cry in the chapter. However, shortly after that we see Jack crying as well, after Yujiro lands the almighty whip strike known as Bender. At least that's what it looks like. I wonder how Jack's going to handle taking this blow. If you don't remember, this was Baki's reaction to it from Yujiro. Baki had actually received a whip strike from Yanagi earlier in the series, when he had the post-nut amp, whatever you want to call it, which resulted in him really having no reaction to the attack. However, when Yujiro used it on him, man definitely felt some pain. And then the very iconic moment of Baki using Bender on Yujiro, which had a whole chapter pretty much dedicated to Yujiro doing this, and tanking the blow without showing he's in pain. Jack, for what we know, doesn't know how to use the whip strike, so I guess we're not going to see that again. However, Jack being able to tank this blow, perhaps similar to his father, would be pretty interesting. However, it doesn't seem like it's going down that path, as right after that we see Jack saying his body could not help but to cry, with one tear dropping out of his eyes, and of course this goofy panel of his face. Bender is one of the most overpowered attacks in the series. It even worked on the likes of Pickle, making him feel intense pain. There's no real way to counter it unless you of course Yujiro. Now when it comes to the final setup moments we got before the blow was thrown, Jack and Yujiro just love edging one another, talking about which one really wants this fight more. Jack saying, "Well, you're the one who stood up, you're the one who wants this more than me," that's what it seems like, being overly confident. And of course, this absolutely goated panel, Jack's sheer size now is absolutely insane, but still the insane aura around Yujiro, him warping the world around him, something that's been commonplace in all of recent Baki, is very cool to see. And the fact that his hands are now out of his pocket as well, means he's taking Jack seriously, which is another point of these recent chapters as well. Whether Yujiro views Jack as an actual threat, someone he wants to fight, I think it's pretty safe. That's absolutely confirmed now. We had little hints of Yujiro saying Jack is better than Baki, of course for little things like him knowing how to use a knife and fork. However, the subtle implications after Yujiro accepted Jack as someone strong, claiming that his other son has a rare purity, speaks volumes to Yujiro's current ruined Jack, and that he does in fact want to fight him and test him, alongside getting potentially his overall goal of wanting to face a strong opponent and use the true extent of his power. With all of this pretty much being shown in this moment in the chapter, Jack is saying the following: "Is the strongest creature alive hesitating right now? Have I really reached that level? Of course, the level of a top tier, someone that would make even Yujiro Hanma hesitate. I guess the only people that can fall into that category is Masashi Miyamoto and I guess Baki to a degree, but more so Masashi Miyamoto." With that being the absolute question we're going to get from this fight, we even have stuff prior to these two meeting up with Baki and the old man Tokigawa together. Tokigawa being the ultimate instigator, saying, up against Jack Hanma, would even Baki Hanma have a hope of winning? Of course, setting up their fight in the future as well. It's possible that this arc is going down the route where Yujiro is more of like a side boss that's potentially stronger than the main boss, but one that occurs early in the arc, while Baki vs Yujiro will be the final. That is a possibility and has more so been Baki's role of recent. After Yujiro and Baki's climactic fight, Itagaki revealed in this interview that that was pretty much the conclusion of both of their character arcs. Since then, Baki hasn't really been viewed as the protagonist, at least to me. We haven't really been focusing on him as much as other characters. Masashi Miyamoto was the center of attention when he arrived, then Sukune, we followed him more so than Baki, and now we're following Jack. Baki is now recognized as a fellow strongest creature alive. So perhaps Jack vs Baki is the real climactic battle of this arc, or maybe we're gonna get 2 fights between Jack and Yujiro, which is low-key the path I want the story to go down. To have a little clash now between Jack and Yujiro to make Jack realize he still needs a little bit more training, a little bit more perfection for his Gaodao, while also showing that he's capable of fighting Yujiro to a degree now, to allow Jack to go back, reflect, have all his battles with the other people he called out of the cast, even against his brother Baki, and then after perfecting his Gaodao, getting much stronger, then he comes back and faces Yujiro in that big climactic battle. We've had all the little setup out the way, that's what's occurring right now. Then when they return with each other, they go absolutely all out straight away. We get Jack unleashing his demon back for the first time, and of course the insane fight occurs. But looking at this chapter, after, Jack said all that stuff about him really reaching that level potentially, Yujiro just laughs, which potentially means Yujiro doesn't believe he's on that level, and maybe Yujiro is just bored once again, trolling around. He can still low diff the likes of Jack, with this panel of him laughing being definitely goofy, getting to a point where he actually cries from laughter, pretty crazy stuff. And then the rage occurs, him screaming at Jack, telling him to stand straight, and Jack unwillingly pretty much does that. Yujiro's fear hacks is still one of the most powerful things in all of Baki, proceeding to land the slap, and Jack's glasses actually falling off as well. That's a point I talked about in my previous video going over the last chapter. Whether or not Jack is still blind or his eyes are still damaged to a degree from his fight with Kosho, which concluded with him being completely blind with the claim that it would be healed in around a week. We don't know how long it's been since that fight until the moment where Jack and Yujiro met up eating together. I'm guessing it hasn't been that long, explaining why he does have the glasses on, but it probably won't be a factor. We're just being trolled the whole time. Jack's eyes are probably fine. And then we're gonna see how he's going to react to the whip strike and whether Jack is going to attack back, which will probably determine if the fight actually continues. If Jack has a whole chapter of him trying to, nullify the pain of Bender, and then succeeding in that way, Yujiro may give him another degree of respect, and then could potentially walk away saying come back when you're ready to fight, when you want this, as Jack, honestly in these last few chapters, hasn't really been after the fight. He's been too worried about what Yujiro wants more than himself. Jack revealed in absolute rage-like moments, for example when he called out everyone, that his want to defeat Yujiro is the absolute. His overall goal since he was a kid is to become the strongest creature alive. Yujiro is the representation of that. Yujiro is his father who did the horrendous things to his mother, who once again has not been mentioned, alongside being a character that has not appeared since the final chapter of Grappler Baki 5 mangas ago now. She's still alive in the story but has not made an appearance, and Jack has not mentioned her since his fight against Baki as well, so still waiting for all of that. Alongside one more thing that could potentially happen, considering a father and son who are both Hanmas are fighting again. The appearance of Yuichiro Hanma. It's been years, it occurred last during Baki vs Yujiro. It's the perfect opportunity for us to get it again. I think everyone in the fandom would love to see that. Just a little bit more information about Yujiro would have everyone go crazy. And we could also perhaps see Yujiro's mother again, something that was cut from the anime adaptation of the fight. It is just one moment of one panel, but it's cool to see and still has a mystery around her, around the truth and her view of Yujiro, how much of a dark being and monster he is. So a lot of possibilities, a lot of excitement going on in the fandom. If you need chapter links, join the Discord. I don't know when chapter 21 of Baki Rahen is meant to come out. It could be next week. Regardless, it'll be posted in the Discord when it does come out. Shout out to the members, the Mad Lads. You can get access to additional content, various other benefits for supporting the channel for cheap. But that's it guys, peace.